of the day. Today we will be discussing strategies for reuse and recycle of water. What are the water conservation strategies? How to save water? These are other keywords related to this topic. In the last session we have discussed how we can conserve water through agriculture and industrial process. Now let us only concentrate on reuse and recycle. First thing is source segregation. The potable water can be used only for a drinking purpose and bathing or human consumption. For rest, we can use recycled water. There are two types of wastewater.
Water consumption, we can use it for agriculture, watering the garden, toilet, sink, water purpose. This prevents contamination and improves the reuse efficiency by 60% by source segregation, where the water is being used and in that source it has to be segregated. If it is used in house, then the segregation should happen in house. Generally, septic tanks are water cleansing process. All the settleable matters settle there and sludge is being removed and the water is being treated in the first level. This is called source segregation. If it is in industry, the industry can use treatment plant, sewage treatment plant. This helps in separating. Let us go into deep. Grey water recycling from laundries, then the shower and the kitchen. So from these three areas, 50 to 80% of domestic water can be reused. Typically 90 to 120 liters per day grey water generation. For these purpose only this water is being used. Now this water can be used for landscaping and irrigation, saves 10 to 20% of water. Construction activities, if it is going, then it can be used. Reuse of this reduces 60 to 70% of total domestic water. For toilet flushing, it can be used for large amount of this kind of water, which saves 25 to 35%. This reduces household water, fresh water demand by 40 to 50%. Not all the fresh water we are consuming. For different purpose we are consuming, these items can be classified as grey water and it can be used for that, which helps us in recycling. Next level of water is called black water treatment and reuse. How we can treat or recycle that and reuse. Black waters are the water from the toilet and from the kitchens. Why it is called black water? In the sense it contains pathogens, bacteria, virus and microbes, organic matter and nutrients. So this water is around 30 to 50 liters per person per day. Already we have learned that around 135 to 150 liters per day a person consumes per day. In that you can see 90 to 120 liters are used here. We can take it as 90 and 30. Let us take minimum consumption 120 liters. Rest of the water is being used for bathing purpose and drinking purpose. For these two you can consume fresh water. For rest of the purpose you can reuse that same grey water can be used for black water. Now it replaces 100% freshwater demand in agriculture. For industrial purpose, not only in households, for industrial purpose it saves 20 to 40% of water. And groundwater recharging can also be done by this black water, which converts into a resources. Sludge reduction can produce biogas. Whatever waste we are getting from the sludge, waste from the black water is called as a sludge. If you store the sludge in a closed container, it can be generated as biogas. 0.2 to 0.4 meter cube per kg of biogas can be collected per kg of the sludge. Decentralization. You can see a list of community members which are there. Each and every villages are divided into communities. Small number of communities will be there. So this water can be treated in the community level itself. If you have around 50 houses or 20 houses, for these 20 houses there can be a separate treatment plant, and this can be recycled there and can be used for the lawning, gardening purpose, used for car washing, etc. Suitable for 50 to 10,000 people from small to large scale. The advantage is low energy requirement. 60 to 80 percentage of energy is only required when we compare with centralized system. For every cities, you have a corporation. So for this corporation will clear the day-to-day activities. They collect all the waste from the houses, the solid waste, liquid waste, etc. These liquid wastes are being treated by this kind of STPs. What do you mean by that? Sewage treatment plant. And this kind of treatment plant is very costly when you are collecting different communities and making it as a single sewage treatment plant for a city. Instead of that, each and every area layout and villages or towns can be treated at that place, which reduces 60 to 80 percentage of energy requirement, and it requires minimum maintenance. The cost reduction is around 30 to 50 percentage when compared to the sewage treatment plants. The BOD removal, biological oxidation demand. All the water which are collected from this treatment plants will have bacteria. The black water, all the water will be collected irrespective of the type of waste. If you collect the water from these communities, this bacteria can be treated by biological oxidation demand. How much of oxidation if you provide in order to remove that bacteria, is 70 to 90 percentage of removal can be done in the decentralized system. This promotes local water self-sufficiency. Black water is around 20 to 30 percentage, but it contains 90 percentage of pathogens. Industrial water recycling. So far, I have discussed regarding houses and communities. Now, what about industries? The industrial water have high amount of mineral contaminants and chemical contaminants. So they require more additional treatment system or recycling system. Not only settlement and filtration, they need a next level of filtration. Can you see here? There are different filters are set up here, which are called microfilters. The recycling process of this water can save 70 to 90 percentage of fresh water to the industry, treating effluent for reuse production. What are the technologies they will use here is membrane filtration, reverse osmosis, UF process, which removes the dissolved solids and microbes. This removes the microorganisms. This is called BOD removal. Around 85 to 90 percentage of removal can be achieved through this. It recovers salt. Since I have told there are minerals, so you can extract the mineral, reduces effluent discharge up to 100 percentage. You can see here industrial discharge will be like this. It has more number of solid waste, and after treatment you will get this kind of sludge. This is called sludge cake. This has high organic matters or mineral contaminant. This can be separated, and organic matter can be used for biogas, and mineral waste can be used for other purposes. It reduces the procurement cost by 30 to 60 percentage. Domestic wastewater, and it contains grey water and black water. These water are rich in nitrogen and phosphorus, which reduces fertilizer cost by 20 to 30 percentage. This I have discussed in agricultural topic also. The water uses 70 to 80 percentage of total water resources, which we know that, and treated water can be reused safely to 100 percentage of irrigation demand. Now, what are the efficient method which we can use is drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation. Around 30 to 50 percentage of reduction of water demand is achieved. Then it improves the water use efficiency in drought prone regions to increase the crop yielding. When we are using this kind of wastewater for agricultural purpose, the crop yielding increases. The increased soil fertility, they have nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, ferrous, etc. Now, this provides rich nutrients to the plant and it supports growth. When you compare with fresh water, the wastewater has this much advantage. Next thing, urban water recycling. Now, what about urban in the sense? when we are collecting the wastewater from the cities, around 100 to 200 liters per person per day wastewater is being generated. You can see that for a urban community like this, all the water which are being taken during any rainfall are taken in terms of this storm water drain. What do you mean by storm water drain is this rainfall is collected through this kind of roads. So when there is any rainfall in the roads, we can see that rainwater is stagnating there. This is lack of storm water management. If you properly collect that water, which can be reused for maintaining the parks and landscaping, around 15 to 20 percentage of city demand, road cleaning and construction reuse, which provides 10 to 15 percentage of reuse of that water. This can also be used for firefighting reserves. Now, dual plumbing system. In a house, we can have two separate plumbing system. One is fresh water and one is recycled water. So if you have this reduces 30 to 40 percentage of water demand. First level, you can use the fresh water, and all the fresh water is being collected in a separate tank. That water is being recycled again for the secondary use for these purposes. And the storm water reduces the urban flooding by 30 to 60 percentage. If you collect efficiently this water during any rainfall, there will be no rainwater stagnation and there will be free traffic movements. This can meet 10 to 20 percentage of non-potable urban demand. Then last one, recycling constructed wetlands. The water which we are consumed, that wastewater either might be black water or grey water, which can be treated by this kind of vegetations. What do you mean by wetlands are? These are the places where the soils are completely submerged in water. When this kind of nutrient water which is being supplied in a closed form, the inlet water, wastewater is being supplied here, and when it is crossing the wetland, it will be collected. This water lettered into river or ocean. This will be recycled and the river or that stream will not get polluted. So this is a natural treatment system. Using vegetation and soil alone, the plant uptake microbial action. I have told that the black water contains 90% of pathogens. This natural system, by planting the trees, reduces 70 to 90 percentage of BOD and suspended solids of 80 to 90 percentage. This is a eco-friendly technology, low operation cost, 50 to 70 percentage lower than the mechanical system. The land requirement is 2 to 5 meters square per person. For a community, we can calculate how many number of people are there. According to that, the wetland can be designed for a lifespan of 20 to 30 years. This improves the groundwater recharge also. Now, in what way we can use water conservation strategies to eliminate the losses? How efficiently we can conserve the water through this elimination method? First thing, you should have leak detection and control system. Here you can see this kind of sensors we can use in our house. Wherever there is a possibility of leakages, you can have this leak detector system. This can be used or taps, underground pipelines. Provide this sensor whenever water is leaking. This provides an alarm. This alarm can be connected with the app, and through IoT, whenever there is a leak, immediately you can address that. Now next thing, when there is a water loss in a larger area, in a community, it is very hard to identify a leak. In a house, we are day to day we are looking, we know that if there is any leak, there can be observation because there is some movement. Imagine there is a large community, If there is any leak like this, and this has to be addressed, and proper people have to be aware that where to give the information, and it has to reach the corporations and they will take a necessary action. This is a long system, and this kind of water distribution laws, this is called distribution laws. The community water is being treated through the dam. You can see here the government provides dam or reservoir. They store the water for public water demand. Nearly how much people are there in a city, they will calculate, and that water will be treated from the dam and it will be supplied to each and every community. When this is being supplied, there might be any leak here. This leak is very hard to identify. Before identifying, large number of water gets losses. So this can be due to leak or illegal connections. Some people might illegally take the corporation water without getting license. Now, meter inaccuracies can be there. So this reduces 30 to 50 percentage of losses, and you can install pressure sensor. This is a sensor which is being used. If there is any difference in pressure, the water pressure has to be same at all the levels. So if there is any difference than the conventional, you can identify that between these level there is a loss, and it will be immediately connected with the centralized system, and through that immediately you can address the leakages or illegal connections, meter inaccuracies, etc. Accurate metering system and zoning of distribution network can reduce around 10 to 15 percentage of losses. Next thing, evaporation loss. We know that when we store the water in reservoir or open land, tanks, lakes, etc., we know that nearly 30 to 40 percentage of water is lost due to this evaporation. So how we can reduce that evaporation is, these are all called floating covers or solar panels. This can be floated above the reservoir. This reduces evaporation loss by 30 to 60 percentage, and you can conserve the water. Next thing, efficient storage system. When we store the water, there might be overflows. Due to overflow, what will happen? The water will lose. So you can have this kind of automatic float valve. When the tank is reached its top level, immediately there will be a shut off valve, it closes. Then you can reduce the water flow loss. Next thing is seepage loss. What do you mean by seepage is, leakage and seepage are both are different. Leakages are immediately you can see that where it is leaking, and there will be a much higher quantity. Seepage loss might be from this kind of concrete member. There will be dampness, and you can see the water is not leaking, it is seeping here. Slowly it will percolate into the concrete or the soil, and it will get lost. It can be addressed around 50 to 70 percentage of water loss can be reduced. Through overflow, it reduces up to 90 percentage of losses. Next thing, by agricultural practice, we can reduce water loss by providing drip irrigation system. So enough of information I have given in agricultural practice. So this is a sprinkler irrigation system and drip irrigation. So sprinkler irrigation reduces 70 to 80 percentage of water losses. Drip irrigation system reduces 90 to 90 percentage of water loss. It is more efficient. When you are providing water by a canal or a furrow method, the water gets run off and the soil fertility gets lost. The topsoil gets eroded. You can control the water loss by this kind of agricultural practice. Around 40 to 60 percentage of water can be saved. And this is an example of canal water seepage. When you are getting the water from the reservoir, you can see there is canal here. The water is supplied to each and every agricultural land by this kind of canal. Now you can see there is no lining here. What do you mean by lining is construction of walls in both the sides at the bottom. This is called canal lining. So when the water is being opened from the dam, the water is supplied through these canals, and it will be supplied to all agricultural lands. Now, if you don't have this kind of canal linings, what will happen? This kind of soil erosion will happen. Slowly, when the water moves, the soil will slowly get eroded, and the sites also will get eroded. It will increase the size day by day, and it takes all the richness and it goes through, creates a clog in the water flowing path. Now, you can reduce by making this kind of canal lining, and this reduces the water seepage into the soil. Next thing, industrial water loss reduction is, in industry you can take the water. Basically, the water is used to reduce the heat during the manufacturing process. You can use this kind of cooling system, cooling tower, and the hot water is being sprayed here. There will be a grill. The fresh air is being supplied through this grill. At bottom you will be having a water. This cools the water. You can take the water again and again, and this circulates the water. This is one of the water loss reduction system by closed loop cooling system, recycling of wastewater, which reduces by 50 to 80 percentage. Cooling loss reduces by 70 to 90 percentage. The last one, stormwater loss prevention. We know that from the road during a rainfall, the stormwater will be collected through this holes. This is a stormwater drain, and here you can see there is a cover which is being provided. This takes all the waste matters, suspended solid matter, and it only allows the water. It screens all the dirt and debris, and it supplies into the stormwater drain. So this prevents the water losses. If there is no clogging, then the water can be easily conveyed from one place to another. Why there is water clogging during any rainfall is the debris and dirts are not properly collected. By collecting in this manner, you can use the rainwater loss as runoff. 20 to 50 percentage of rainfall wasted in urban areas, where it directly goes into sewage, and the sewage water is directly going into the river, and it goes into the ocean. This is being not properly utilized. So if you have rainwater harvesting along the road and this kind of trenches and water collection system, this captures 50 to 70 percentage of runoff water, which can be reused for the same community purposes.